Welcome to DS Walk's Dojo Podcast. I'm your host, DS Walk. Hey, I'm gonna get right to my story because, as Dojo Podcast, it's about basketball. And the reason I do this is because I love basketball. It's my favorite sport since I was a kid. Next to wrestling, and football, and baseball and hockey. Basketball, the NBA that I once knew, that ain't there anymore. Well, don't get me wrong, man. We can still dribble the basketball, still shoot. All the fundamentals of basketball are still there. It's just the way the game is being managed, where the game is being played, where the game is heading. It's not heading in a good direction at all. I wanted to read this article on the Sports Illustrated, and it talks about the situation with the NBA, Kawhi Leonard, the Los Angeles Clippers, of them circumventing the cap. Yeah, how they took a third party company to pay the 4 years remaining and $28 million remaining on Kawhi Leonard's contract. Yes. Circumventing the cap, which means the owner of Los Angeles Clippers, the richest man, the owner, Steve Ballmer, didn't want to pay his best player. He want him back, but he didn't want to pay him. So this article out of Sports Illustrated, I'm just going to talk about that. And I've been covering this story from day one. So here we go. The Los Angeles Clippers have been under investigation from the league office for allegedly, I like to say allegedly, let's call it allegation, for salary cap circumvention in their dealings with Kawhi Leonard. The Clippers and Steve Ballmer allegedly paid Leonard under the table through a third-party sponsor named Aspiration. In the original reporting by Pablo Torre, the agreed amount the Clippers paid Leonard via Aspiration was listed as $28 million over 4 years. Since then, there has been more reports and incriminating details about the Clippers' relationship with Leonard. All of this is currently being investigated by the private law firm of Wishtail Linton, which was contacted by the NBA to lead the process. Once they reach a conclusion, the firm will make a recommendation to the league office, which will make a decision on Ballmer, Leonard, and the Clippers. Updates have been few and far between about the investigation. The widespread conscience was that the Clippers could get away with a slap on the wrist. It turns out that couldn't be further from the truth. The Athletic Sam Amick, who also been reported on this from day one. I want y'all to know that. Reported on Thursday that there has been a noticeable shift from earlier in the season, and now there's a league-wide speculation that the NBA's hammer is likely to fall on the Clippers. It is currently unclear what that speculation is based on. It may be a case of reading between the lines. Some wonder whether the Clippers' unexpected dealings of James Harden and Ivica Zubac has something to do with their knowledge of a looming punishment. Now, let me stop right there. So during the trading deadline, the Clippers had traded James Harden, who they kind of put it out there that he wanted a new contract. He wants some security. The Clippers wasn't in favor of that. I think he had $32 million next season, and he won a longer deal. They said no. James Harden allegedly was told to sit home in Phoenix, Arizona, and not report to the Clippers. He was one of the main factors that the Clippers, who got off to a horrible start, started to turn things around. But a contract dispute, he went to them asking for a trade. He wanted more money. He wanted some security. Don't get me wrong, that sounds like a James Harden thing, but I don't think James Harden did that. I don't think James Harden voluntarily sat at home in his big mansion like that. And out of the blue, he wanted out. We ain't heard no rumblings of James Harden being unhappy with the Clippers. None. Not all season, not last season. We heard nothing. And he gets traded. I guess it's safe to say that the Clippers knew this was coming because they even traded Zubac, who was untouchable. And all of a sudden, during the offseason, they signed Brook Lopez. We need a backup center. Okay. Zubac was hurt. He was out for a while. And he comes back. He played like he always played. Gave you a double-double, 18 and 12, or 20 and 14. Looked good. Said he was untouchable. Then he went from untouchable to, if you want Zubac, this is what we want. And then out of the clear blue sky, he gets traded to the Indiana Pacers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't think that the Clippers didn't know something big was coming down, I don't know what to tell you. They knew something was coming. They knew that they're going to have to reset their franchise. And around that time, Lawrence Frank signed a brand new deal, brand new 4-year deal. Now, a lot of people say, well, some people might say, hey, the man deserves, he's done a good job with the Clippers. I'm in the camp of that's hush money because he know where the bodies are buried and he was involved in this whole situation. So in case of the hammer comes down, he will still be in charge. He will still be the man running the show. We don't know. You don't think the Clippers didn't know all this was coming? They knew. Getting younger and adding more draft could be more draft picks. Could be seen as a way for the Clippers to prepare for a potential penalty of losing draft capital and, in worst case scenario, Kawhi Leonard. Now, in previous years, I want to say back in the 90s, Joe Smith and the Minnesota Timberwolves had agreed to a deal underneath the table. They got caught by David Stern red-handed, and it cost the Clippers 5 first-round picks, 5 years. And Joe Smith became a free agent, and they was slapped with a healthy fine. So if you need a barometer, if you need somewhere, okay, where the NBA can start at, that's their starting point. That could be their starting point and the ending point, or this could be their starting point and it could be more. It all depends on the collective bargaining agreement. Well, what can they be taken away from them? What can they be fined? How many draft picks? But for certainly, Kawhi Leonard might be a free agent. And I gotta ask you guys, if Kawhi Leonard comes free agent, would you pay him top money? Would you pay him max money? The fact that the announcement is going to come after the All-Star break may also mean a negative outcome is now more likely. There were rumors that the NBA wouldn't punish the Clippers ahead of them hosting the All-Star weekend at the Intuit Dome. Now that the weekend is behind us, there is very little stopping Adam Silver in the league office to come down on the Clippers and make an example out of them. The results of the investigation will have a reverberating effect on the Clippers and the NBA. If the league were to bring down the hammer on LA, it could set the franchise back many years. If Ballmer is punished, an ownership crisis could have a disastrous impact on the organization. If Leonard's contract is voided, his free agency could alter the competitive balance of the entire league. The odds of all this happening now seem much higher than they were a few months ago, as if this Clippers season could get any more chaotic, the fans may be in for a ride before the season become closed. Adam Silver has to come hard on the Clippers because his hand is forced. He has to come hard down on him because he will set a tone. He will let every team, the other 29 teams, know that they cannot do this. You get caught, this is what's going to happen. The Clippers got caught, been caught, using aspiration, third party, paying Kawhi Leonard under the table. You can't do that. I don't care if it sounds good, looks good, you saving money. I don't care. You can't cheat. You can't cheat. Steve Ballmer, Lawrence Frank got their hands caught in the cookie jar for cheating. He just can't do it. He has to come down hard on them. He has to come down hard on the Clippers because the NBA, this entire season, ever since the end of last season, has been making the news the wrong way. You got 1/3 of the teams in the league is tanking because this 2026 draft is so deep that the 27 28 draft, as of right now, is supposed to be not very good. It won't be a lot of talent coming out in those 2 years, next 2 years. It won't be, according to draft experts. So you got 1/3 of your teams tanking to get AJ Debinska, Darren Peterson, who is doing his own load management, Cameron Boozer. I mean, that's sad. And don't get me wrong, like this draft is so deep that you can go far as the top 20, you will get a franchise cornerstone. That's how deep this draft is. You know, we talk about the top 3, but everything after the top 3, you will get a franchise cornerstone. That's one. Load management has been a bigger issue, a bigger problem, just as the tanking in this league for a very long time, where you have front office personnel, general managers, who are using analytics to rest their players on games that are being broadcast on ABC, TNT, ESPN, big time matchup game, resting their star players, where you have fans who spend their hard earned money to come to these games and watch a good basketball game. And what they get a blowout because of Kawhi Leonard don't want to play, Trae Young don't want to play, Zion is being rested, Steph Curry is not playing. You got teams who are living and dying by the analytics of resting their players at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's another issue. And then you got a lot of these players are overpaid who don't even show up, who don't want to compete. Then you got with the on-court situation, the NBA, where the floppings get out of control. It was a Thunder player who tripped over his own leg, and the Piston player got called for a foul. And the challenge still withheld. The call still withheld. The Pistons challenged that and was still withheld. The replays are terrible. The NBA has a problem that they need to fix. You know, it's one thing where just one isolated incident, bigger problem is the Clippers, just one thing. All right, we'll take care of that. But when you got about 6, 7 things going on in your league that needs to be addressed, and most of these things been going on for some years, and you still don't address them properly. So like the biggest thing coming out of this for tanking is, you know what? We're going to even the odds, or we're going to take first round picks away. Why haven't you didn't do this 4 or 5 years ago? Why now? Because 1/3 of the team were tanking before December? Or because you got people who cover the sport is finally making a lot of noise and calling you guys out? Whatever happened to competitive nature in the NBA? What happened to these front office, these GMs, these players, or everybody in the league actually? What happened to they actually give a damn about the game of basketball? Whatever happened to putting out a competitive team out there to compete? What happened to the love of the game? You know, we hear and we see pundits, the media, podcasters calling out players about their love of the game. And you get some players respond back. What about the rest of them? What happened to the love of the game? What happened to competing? I grew up in a time in the era of basketball where Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, went head to head, compete against each other on a daily basis. They want to beat each other. They won't think about shaking hands or dapping up before the game. When they style, as we know now, outside of the game, when no cameras wasn't around, with no social media around, they were all cool. I mean, we heard the stories of Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson working out in LA in the summertime. We seen Isaiah Thomas and some of the Piston players attend the Boston Celtics game, paying attention and watching how the Celtics dominate and beat teams, showing, looking, or learning how to win games, studying tape, learning on their craft and getting better. We don't see that in today's basketball. Today's guys do things differently to the point where we question their loyalty. And some guys, yeah, I do believe some guys in this league don't love playing the game. They just love the money. And I say some guy because it's not a lot of other guys, other players. We know they love the game. I think the NBA needs to figure it out some things. The NBA needs to do some soul searching. If Adam Silver wants to improve this game, take it to the next level, the game is already global. Taking that next step, how can he do that? What buttons he needs to push? Because right now, how much the game is being loved globally, bad parts of this game is starting to show. He needs to take care of all that. I mean, we hear that a lot of podcasts, a lot of fans wants the league to go to 82. The 82 game season is too long. I push back on that because 82 games, the number of games don't need to be changed. Players need to play. Stop trying to lower the game to 65. Because if you do that, what's going to change? You think guys going to play 65 games season? You think teams is not going to figure out how to rest their players? It's going to be the same situation with 65, just like they have in 82. The NBA has a compete problem. The NBA has a problem with players not playing. They have a tanking problem. They have a lot of issues. But 82 games is not one of them. You keep that. Now back to this Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. I expect the NBA to bring the hammer down. I expect the Clippers to lose 5 first round picks, pay a hefty fine, Kawhi Leonard be a free agent, and I expect Steve Ballmer loans for him to be suspended for a whole season. And I expect a little bit more. Because we talking about they brought in the third party team. And that third party team, Aspiration, which went bankrupt, was getting money funneled to them by Steve Ballmer. 50 million one time, and that was another time. He brought in his partner, 2% guy who owns 2% from Dallas, Texas, to help pay Kawhi his money. You see Kawhi Leonard and his uncle Dennis allegedly open up LLCs all around California and in Florida. You see a lot of moving parts that was involved in this circumventing the salary cap. The late great Jerry West, who everybody loves and adores. The NBA at any time now will come down with a ruling. But make no mistake, everybody involved needs to be punished. Adam Silver got to bring more than the hammer. He has to bring more than the hammer. He has to make an example. Because I can almost guarantee you, what the Clippers did there's probably other teams who are thinking or probably did the exact same thing. If Adam Silver goes lightly on the Clippers and on Kawhi Leonard on this situation, he lost $45 million on a 3-year contract. He's going to sign a 3-year, $45 million contract with Detroit Pistons until his name got caught in a gambling ring. You had Javante Porter a couple years ago. He got caught red-handed busted for gambling. He's lost a lifetime ban. It's starting to look like a shell of itself, where your viewership is down, where you alienate your fans. Nobody don't want to watch you because you did business with China and you lost billions of dollars with China. It's just been one bad press after another for Adam Silver in the league. At this point in time, all you gotta do is wish for the best. So if you're an NBA fan, like I am, and we already know how professional sports work, so I'm gonna say this, and I say this with all the sarcasm in the world. I might not show it, but if you're a fan of basketball, you gotta hope that from here on out, including the playoffs, will be a very good run. Because that's what the NBA wants. The NBA is hoping that the postseason and the reign of this season will be so great that all of us would pay attention to what's going on here on the right and ignore what's going on and what's happening on to the left. So they want to make sure that everything on the right is perfect. They want to make sure we're tuning in. They want to make sure we're entertained. They want to make sure we're happy. They want to make sure we're talking about it. So understand what I'm saying. They're pulling for the Detroit Pistons have a deep playoff run. And the San Antonio Spurs. They're hoping that the Los Angeles Lakers make the postseason and have a decent run. And they're hoping that Jason Tatum comes back for the Boston Celtics and they can make a deep run. And they're hoping that the Cleveland Cavaliers will show up. And they're hoping the Orlando Magic as well as too. If they don't, if this postseason turns out to be boring and not what fans expected, they're going to be looking at the left side and paying a lot of attention to that. And I can guarantee you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your time. I am DS Walk, and this is DS Walk W Podcast. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.